What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Stout Out Show, your one-stop shop for all things MMA bets, breakdowns, and predictions. On deck for today's show, we have UFC Fight Night 286, aka UFC Shanghai. It's going down this Saturday, August 29th. Set your alarms early. Prelims are starting at 3 a.m. Main card is starting at 6 a.m. Main event's going to be featuring Umar Nurmagomedov taking on a fellow bantamweight, Xiong Yadong. But before we get into that, we are going to be breaking down every single fight all the way from the prelims to the main card. So if you like what you're seeing, like what you're hearing, drop your comments and picks below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, our first fight to kick things off for the night is going to be in the welterweight division. We have Meng sitting at a minus 155, taking on Cameron Nelson at a plus 130. Ding is 0-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a split decision loss to Jose Henrique Souza that happened back in May. For those who've never seen Ding fight, very good stand-up-based power finisher. A lot of TKOs and KOs his way. He's sitting at around an 80% finish rate in terms of just specifically knockouts. 17 out of his 35 wins have come in the first round. So he is looking to put a pace on you. He wants to end things early in the night. So again, high gas tank in the early rounds. Okay, really good at cutting off the cage and forward linear pressure. And by that, I mean he uses his long, straight punches down the center line. He wants to get his opponents up against the cage. I mean, for those who've seen him fight, this is his go-to move, okay? It's this vicious, close-range body snatching up against the cage. And by that, I mean once he gets his opponents stacked up against the cage, look for him just to deliver these straight right hooks to the liver and these like knees coming from like hell. And he wants to shut your body down. That is his go-to move, okay? The big knock on him, on the other hand, is that he has a real hard, difficult time tracking mobile fighters. If anybody saw him fight on the Dana White Contender Series, his opponent, who is it, Remy Hamed, was really good at keeping the fight on the outside. He didn't let Ding back him up to the cage, and he really had a hard time struggling with that. He lost the unanimous decision that way. Also has a problem pacing his fights. Like I said earlier, he wants to come out of the gate just straight up firing, right? Does not have a lot of gas toward the end of the second, mid-third round, okay? Kind of loses steam. Cardio is not what it once was. And that's kind of what when he goes to the scorecards, he kind of loses in that aspect. His last 3 losses have all come by decision, so he definitely lets rounds slip. Cameron Nelson, on the other hand, coming out of Canada, fresh face for the UFC, making his UFC debut. He's riding a 5-fight winning streak. Again, it's all on the regional scene at FLA. Really good record there. He trains with the likes of Mike Malott, Yasmin Davicius, so he's got a good camp. Iron sharpens iron. Very good at elite submission hunting. Once the fight hits the mat, that is Cameron Nelson's happy place, right? He's secured a good amount of rear naked chokes, and good, he's good at prioritizing seizing the back when he can. Like I said, high-level training environment. But if you looked at his last fight, he's got good, exceptional composure and patience. So, he looked like in the earlier fight, FLA 25, it wasn't going his way in round 1. Then he kind of okay, let me get my wits about me with some tactical awareness. Slowed the fight down and was able to secure the second round TKO. So he's able to make good fight adjustments midway through the fight. Little susceptible in the pocket power, and that means, he doesn't want to be over-aggressive in the pocket because guys like Meng will put your lights out if you do that. You don't want to overextend on your punches. We've not seen Cameron Nelson fight a very good anti-wrestler, and by that I mean people who have really stellar takedown defense, because if he cannot get the fight down, sure, he did get a TKO win, but if he cannot get the fight down to the ground, I do think Meng has the, little bit higher ceiling in the stand-up department. Again, and then my last big take for Cameron Nelson is you were stepping into the UFC with a guy who's fought he hasn't fought the best of the best, but there's not a lot he has not seen. This guy, like I said, has got 35 plus fights. So very big difference between the regional circuit and championship level fighting. But I am liking the upset with this. I think Cameron Nelson is going to get the upset here. I think he's going to really do well in terms of getting the fight to the ground. I think his ground game's better. So I'm going to say Cameron Nelson wins this one by decision. All right, our next fight is going to be in the women's strawweight division. We have Xiong taking on Julia Polastri. Xiong is your plus 210 dog, while Polastri is your minus 258 favorite. Xiong is 0-1 in the UFC. She's just coming off unanimous decision loss to Angela Hill, who I bet to lose in that fight. But Angela Hill is, she's the gatekeeper for the strawweight division. I mean, and the litmus test. If you cannot beat her, you are not getting ranked above the top 15. Xiong, obviously she's the former champion and won. I mean, she just got dog walked that whole fight. I mean, she didn't have an answer for anything in that fight. I mean, I know she's never been finished before in terms of TKO or KO. She's got a very, very good kickboxing and boxing. She's got 10 career wins via TKO and KO. She was part of China's national boxing team. I mean, her striking is there, but let's not get the facts twisted. She's 38 years of age. Her prime is definitely past her, and that was on clear display for the Angela Hill fight. She's got pretty good defensive grappling. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. But, I mean, again, Hill was just doing everything she wanted to do. I mean, she was using pretty good dynamic kickboxing, using in and out movement to, hit her every once in a while. And then she wasn't getting taken down at all. I mean, Xiong had no offense. She's also a good relentless, she's got some forward pressure issues. She loves putting her foot on the gas, blitzing in with good combinations. But again, that was just, my eyes were open in that fight. Julia Polastri, on the other hand, she's 2-2 in the UFC. She's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Talita Alankar that happened back in April. She's never been finished before either, okay? She's got really good relentless striking volume. She's landing at, 6 significant strikes at a clip. Pretty good accuracy. It's sitting around 56%, but again, she's good in that pocket Muay Thai, really good in the clinch. Very, very good dynamic clinch. The big thing, and also she's not a one-trick pony either. I have noticed that she has some opportunistic takedowns. I swear I can talk. She's, I know she's like primarily a volume kickboxer in that way, but if she sees an opening, she's going to get you down to the ground, okay? Her big knock on her is she is extremely hittable in close quarters. She absorbs about 5 significant strikes a minute. So she is definitely, if she leaves her chin out there, she's going to get clipped. I don't know if Xiong is going to have the KO power to actually get it done that way, but she's definitely going to get hit a couple times, okay? Like I said, she's never been finished, but she definitely takes some rounds off, and not rounds off, but she takes her foot off the gas in later rounds, so she kind of loses these close, tight-knit decision losses. So I've been going back and forth in this one. I can see Xiong getting it done via decision. She's definitely good in the stand-up. Palastri's she's good, but she's not great for taking her down. But, I mean, that fight for Angela Hill really sold it for me. So I'm going to say Polastri wins this one unanimous decision. All right, our next fight up is in the bantamweight division. We have Lawrence Louis taking on Hector Santiago. Louis is your minus 285 favorite, while Hector Santiago is your plus 230 dog. Louis coming off a split decision win against Rangbo Salong that happened back in January. All right, Louis never been finished, okay? Pretty modest record. He's 1-0 in the UFC. He's a city kickboxing kid, born in China but raised in New Zealand, excuse me. But unlike the other city kickboxer fighters, he's actually got a good takedown offense going. He lands about 5 takedowns every 15 minutes. So he's definitely looking to take the fight to the ground if the opportunity presents itself, okay? Very good counter wrestler, too. High percentage in takedown defense. I mean, it's almost not impossible, but it's borderline impossible to take him down. It's sitting around like 90% takedown defense. Good hands, not the most accurate in the entire bantamweight division, but pretty good hands. He's 4 out of his 8 wins have come by knockout. But like I said, accuracy-wise, he's only doing about 39% accuracy, and he's only landing about 3 significant strikes per minute. So he's not landing at a high clip, but if he does hit you, he does have a puncher's chance to put your lights out, okay? By his own admission, though, he's kind of a slow starter. He's not going to come out of the gates, looking to kick the tires and light the fires. He's going to sit down, look to see what tactical adjustments he can make mid-fight and see where he wants to take the fight, okay? Unfortunately, that kind of works and doesn't work for him when it goes to the judges because, that could go either way. Like I said, he did win a split decision against Rangbo Salong. He wasn't dominant in that fight by any fashion. He got sat on his ass a couple times. And I can definitely see that happen in this fight with Hector Santiago. Hector Santiago, even though he's making his UFC debut, he's a gamer, man. He's got some world-class stand-up, really good kickboxer, black belt in Muay Thai. He's got some fight-ending power, okay? He's got 5 of his 6 professional wins have come by knockout. The guy is he can put your lights out. If you're looking at the intangibles, he's small for the division. He's only sitting at he's only 5'4", but he can generate a lot of power. This is a short notice fight for him, on the other hand. So between the significant size and reach advantage and short notice, it's a very uphill battle. Still a lot of grappling to be left to be desired. He's only about a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, so he can get taken down. Not at will, but I mean it's very hard for him to get back to his feet. Okay, his last opponent though was a very game opponent. He knocked out Paulo Noriega. Very good fighter in the amateur or in the regional ranks. So I mean, again, Hector Santiago, it is a very tough UFC debut for him. I think in the future he might do a little something, but I don't think he's got it this fight. I'm going to say Lawrence Louis is going to win the decision on this one. So Lawrence Louis definitely going the distance. All right, staying in the bantamweight division, we have Long Xiao taking on Francesco Nuzzi. Xiao is your minus 175 favorite, while Nuzzi is your plus 145 dog. All right, Long is coming off a unanimous decision loss to Cody Garbrandt that happened back in March. He's 1-3 in the UFC, and he's riding a 2-fight losing streak. Long, he's another one of these, Sanda-based kickboxing guys, a really good significant strike count, gets about 5 significant strikes at a clip, good striking, controlling the range, good combinations, very good footwork. When it comes to takedown defense, he's sitting around 80%. Good job at dictating the pace, The big thing with him, I mean, everybody saw that fight against Cody Garbrandt. I mean, he didn't exactly lose that fight. He just couldn't stop kicking Cody Garbrandt in the freaking balls and lost via, points. That's kind of, his fatigue was getting the best of him. He's made some stupid mental errors. Good submission game. When the opportunity presents itself, I think he holds around 9 submission wins. But I think the biggest thing for this fight is going to come down to this X factor. It's going to be who dictates the pace. Xiao is very, very vulnerable when his opponent dictates the pace and he can't put the forward pressure on, okay? Especially because his striking defense leaves him super susceptible to being struck, okay? His defense only sits around 50%, and he's getting hit about 3 significant strikes per minute, okay? So he's definitely not the best. But to me at least, his record is not, it's bad on paper, but it's not what it looks like. Again, I think he should have won the Cody Garbrandt, so at least be at 500. Nuzzi's making his UFC debut, coming in on 11 days notice. He's never been TKO'd before, and he's got good distance management and footwork, okay? He likes to circle his opponent, keep him on the outside, and really loves to use his long range in terms of his, teep kicks as well, okay? Good technical counter striker, not a reckless brawler. He's not going to sit in the pocket and trade wild striking exchanges with you. He's going to be, relying on these fluid combinations and sharp counters. Very good in the first round, too, okay? 5 of his 11 wins have come by knockout, and most of the finishes have come in round 1, okay? So he's going to come out, especially in this one, he's going to try to see if he can get the result he wants in round 1. Unfortunately, he has fought in the PFL before, and both of his losses have come via submission, so he's not the best on the ground. He's definitely susceptible to submissions, okay? Size disadvantage as well. He's sitting at, 5'3", with only a 69-inch reach, so, he's going to be sitting at the end of Xiao's, jabs and or teeps. But, again, like I said, the X factor for this one is who's going to be able to put the pressure on. I'm saying Xiao's, destined for a good comeback win here. I think Xiao's going to get it done. Again, this one's going to go to the decision as well, but I think Xiao is just going to be, again, had the proper camp for him. He looked good to me in the Garbrandt fight until he started doing that bullshit, kicking him in the nuts. So I'm going to say Xiao's going to win this one. Like I said, it's going to go the distance, unanimous decision win. Our next fight is going to be in the featherweight division. We have Jack Jenkins taking on Xiong the Sniper Woodson. Jenkins is your plus 120 underdog, while Woodson is your minus 142 favorite. All right, both these guys are coming back from pretty long layoffs. Jenkins has fought back from a lot of injuries. I think he dislocated his elbow a while ago. He last fought against Ramon Tavares in September of 2025. He won that fight via unanimous decision. He's 4-2 in the UFC. And guys, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but for those who have seen him fight, he is like the Australian version of Jose Aldo. His leg kicks and calf kicks can change the trajectory of a fight with the quickness. I mean, he throws those things with such vicious intentions. He even broke one of his opponent's legs by throwing one. I think he has 2 TKOs via leg kick. I mean, again, he is very, very good when it comes to dismantling his opponent's lead leg, okay? Good accurate striker, good switch stance striker, okay? Transitions pretty seamlessly between orthodox and regular. Landing around 4 significant strikes a minute, sitting at 61% accuracy. So he's going to find you pretty early and often. pretty underrated wrestler, actually. Not the best one in the in the division, but if he can find a takedown, he'll land it. He averages around 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. So I mean, if the opportunity's there, he's going to take you down. But I guarantee, in this fight, he's going to want to keep it standing. Okay. His big thing is he's very susceptible to high-level strikers, okay? He does that forward marching at such a sharp pace that guys who can get an opening and sit down on their punches, they're going to find his chin, okay? And this one, he's going to have an intangible disadvantage. And by that, I mean his reach and his height. He's only 5'7", Woodson 6'2", okay? Jenkins only has a 68-inch reach advantage in this one. He has been submitted in the past, but Sean Woodson is not, I don't see him taking it to the ground anytime soon, okay? Woodson's coming off a TKO loss against Dan Ige that happened in April of 2025. That was actually Woodson's first TKO loss in his whole career. He's 7-2-1 in the UFC. I mean, guys, he's the tallest guy in the division by far. He's 6'2" with a 70-inch reach advantage. I mean, and he's got this amateur boxing background too, so he's really, really good with his combinations and his footwork. I mean, it's no secret. He is going to try to keep Jenkins on the outside of his jab, going to try to work his distance as best as he can possible, okay? I mean, he uses his high-volume boxing to his advantage, okay? He lands at 5 significant strikes a minute, and what I think his boxing record, like I said, he was 46-3. The big weird thing, though, is with that amateur boxing background, he's not like this big TKO, KO machine, okay? 4 out of his 13 wins have only been done by TKO or KO. So he's a big volume guy. He's going to touch you up, but he's not really going to look to put you out. He's going to be ahead on points, okay? Very good takedown defense, okay? 84%. So while, yes, he is an amateur boxer, he does do his best to stay off the ground at all times, okay? Big downside, like we saw in the Ige fight, he is very, very hittable, okay? He absorbs about 4 significant strikes a minute. His head movement can remain static at times. He doesn't like to move off the center line. I think it's kind of I'm more like, not like cockiness, I would say, but I feel like he thinks he's better than a lot of these fighters, at least in the stand-up department, so he doesn't move his head or feints as well as he should. But again, he's done pretty good so far. I mean, first TKO loss came this late in his career, so knows what he's doing in that department. Very, very lack of offensive grappling, like I said. Less than a takedown per 15 minutes. He's not looking to take this fight to the ground at all. He wants to keep it standing at all times. This is going to be an interesting one to me. I've been going back and forth with this one. I'm going to go Sean Woodson solely for the fact that I think his range is going to be the difference maker here. I think he's going to use his height and reach to his advantage. I think he's a better striker in terms of just boxing alone. And then, the blueprint's there. I mean, if he doesn't check his leg kicks, he's fucked. But again, that's what Jack Jenkins is known for. But, if he can check the leg kicks and kind of stay out of his way and make it like a phone booth war, I think it's his to win. So I'm going to say Sean Woodson gets this one done via decision. All right, our next fight is in the flyweight division. We have Ray Tsuruya taking on Kevin Borjas. Tsuruya is your minus 650 favorite, while Borjas is your plus 470 dog. All right, Tsuruya, he's 2-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a great submission win against Luis Garul that happened back in May of 2026. Guys, for those who didn't see my short before, Tsuruya is going to be my lock of the night. I think he looked incredible against Luis Garul. He took a year off. He got his shit together. He filled out his frame really well. He got his gas tank together. I mean, he's really putting the pieces together well in terms of the flyweight division. For those who don't know his background, he's an elite national wrestling pedigree, was part of, he was a junior Olympian. He competed globally, possesses very elite upper body wrestling. He forces these body locks up against the cage, heavy overhooks, and he's going to try to do these mat returns early and often once he gets you there, okay? And he's not just settling once he gets you to the ground. He's trying to finish you, okay? 5 out of his 11 wins have come by submission, and his submission offense is only getting better. And as I said before, he pushes a relentless pace and very good at top control. Okay, his foot is going to be on the gas early and often in terms of he's going to try, out of the gate, he's going to try to get you to the ground. I mean, when I say he got his shit together, I forget who he fought before Luis Garul, but the first 2 rounds he looked good, but on the 3rd round, he was getting pieced up. I mean, he was very, very obvious that he was tired and he spent all of his energy getting, I forget who he fought, but I mean, it was not a good look. Joshua Van's his only loss. And that's what I mean when he was talking about this one-dimensional game plan. He tried at least 20-plus times to get Joshua Van to the ground, and if he could do it, he did it, but it was super, did not happen often, and Van would just pop up. Now, Van, if he's the definition of like anti-wrestling. If you looked up a guy picture in the book of anti-wrestling, it would be Joshua Van. I mean, wrestling just doesn't work on him, okay? But that's a video for another time. Tsuruya, he is hittable. Don't get me wrong. His striking defense is around 43%, and his output is like not super great either. I think he's only clipping guys at what, 2 significant strikes a minute. So, again, wrestling is his bread and butter, but again, striking he's still working on. I don't know if he's found the ceiling yet there, but I mean that is definitely the downside when we look at Tsuruya. Borjas, on the other hand, now don't get me wrong. On paper, he does not look like that great of a fighter. His record is 2-4 in the UFC. He's coming off a unanimous decision win against Andre Lima. But guys, he's got some heavy, heavy hands. 8 out of his 11 wins have come by TKO. Very good footwork. And dude, he has got these hooks that are coming from Georgia, and he's bringing them with fucking power, okay? I mean, they're inside the pocket, and they're going to put your lights out, okay? Very dangerous first-round execution. I think 5 of his wins have come by knockout inside the first round. So, again, look for him to try to put the pace on Tsuruya pretty quick. Again, the big knock on him, though, his offensive grappling is just non-existent, okay? He's not looking for the takedowns at all. He's not trying to mix it up. He's not going to try to do a multi-level game plan. If the takedown's there, he could give a shit less. He's trying to keep it standing, and he's going to try to put you out, okay? A good thing about the knock against Borjas, though, while he does possess awesome knockout power, he does eat a lot of shots, okay? He eats around 5 significant shots per fight, okay? This is just, it's not inside the fighting as much, but he does have a couple weight times where, issues where he missed weight. It was a tough cut for him. We're filming this earlier in the week, so I guess Friday is going to be the judge. But again, I'm saying, again, I think Borjas might sit him down maybe once, but I think Tsuruya overall is going to go get the finish and get it done via submission. I mean, I think Tsuruya, his wrestling is going to be too much for Borjas. He's going to pour it on him early. So I'm just going to say Tsuruya wins second round submission. In our feature prelim, we have Namsrai Batbayar taking on Andre Lima. Batbayar is your plus 225 underdog, while Andre Lima is your minus 278 favorite. Batbayar, he has a solid win streak so far. I think it's around 6, especially in his last couple road to UFCs. He's got a couple knockouts and a good submission win. He's averaging around about 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. Very, very good wrestling. And he has some very, kind of underrated submission skills, like I said before. But his big thing is he's got really authentic one-shot power. I mean, for a 125-pounder, when he sits down on his punches, he can put your lights out. I mean, he has 5 career knockouts. But the thing that I like about him the most is basically he's really good at aggressive cage cutting. By that, I mean, he marches forward with relentless pressure, and he just traps his opponent along the perimeter. He sets a blistering pace and just really, tries to take his opponent out in the first round. I think he has 6 first-round finishes. A couple red flags for him, though, is that he is kind of vulnerable in scrambles. He has been known to give away positions when he's trying to go secure the submission or, when it's just a wild scramble in general. He does commit sometimes over in his punches when he's throwing super wild, loopy hooks, and he has been sat down a couple times. I mean, against a guy like Andre Lima, that is definitely not the person you want to do that to. And his striking defense is right around 48%. Lima, on the other hand, he's 4-1 in the UFC. He's just coming off a unanimous decision loss to Kevin Borjas that happened back in June. And he's never been finished before, okay? Andre Lima has got some of the best kickboxing in the flyweight division, okay? Long before he was an MMA fighter, he was on Brazil's premier kickboxing team, okay? He's got 2 South American titles, and he was the #1 amateur ranked kickboxer in Brazil. I mean, dude, he can fucking stand with the best of them. Okay, very good striking accuracy. It sits around 56%. Okay, he controls distance beautifully with a sharp jab, and he heavily isolates his opponent's legs. Okay, especially with low calf kicks. Pretty good, well-rounded offense. He can take his opponent down when he needs to be. It's he has that tool in his bat belt. Sits around 60% accuracy for takedowns. So again, that's not his go-to, but he definitely can do it if the opportunity presents itself. Okay. What I noticed about him, he doesn't have that killer instinct. If he doesn't sense that the finish is coming imminently, he kind of coasts, especially in the later rounds. You know what I mean? That's not how he lost to Kevin Borjas. he had him hurt in the third round, and I thought he was going to go for the finish, but he kind of just didn't have either the gas or just, the wherewithal to kind of finishing him off. Kind of susceptible to high volume combinations. He's used to like kind of single shot defense, but if anybody who's can blitz forward kind of gives him some problems if they pressure him against the cage. I mean, this fight's going to come down to, at the end of the day, can Andre Lima defend takedowns against Namsrai Batbayar? Can he not? If Namsrai Batbayar can get him down early and often, I think the submission's definitely live for this thing. But I just think Andre Lima is going to be too good in that department. I think his takedown defense is going to hold up. So I'm going to say Andre Lima is going to get this done via decision. And we have reached the main card. Starting things off in the flyweight division, we have Bilal Hassan taking on Nilson Rojas. Hassan is your minus 675 favorite, while Rojas is your plus 490 dog. Both of these dudes are making their UFC debut. Guys, for whoever missed Hassan's performance on Dana White's Contender Series, I mean, he was the real deal Holyfield. He is everything as they were advertising, okay? Got a good stoppage. He landed 21 out of 26 significant strikes at an 80% clip. I mean, the dude is doing some damage, okay? If you look at his, history, 8 out of his 9 wins have all come by TKO or KO. Really good, superb balance and takedown defense. He operates at that wide karate-based stance, so it's very hard to get him down. Also, hard to get him against the cage because he's really good at like just high-level hip recovery and just getting himself off the cage so like nobody can kind of drag him down to the mat. What I did kind of notice about him though is that his other fight against Jacob Romano, he got his just shit split open on his forehead with a nasty elbow. Obviously, he's recovered from that, but I mean, cuts open up pretty easily. So if Rojas is able to hit that same injury and open it up again, that could be a real problem because they stopped the fight for the doctor to check on it for Hassan. Very quick turnaround, as we know. He fought 17 days ago, so this is going to be a short turnaround camp. We've never really seen him against a top-level grappler before, especially elite-level wrestler. So it's kind of untested in that remark. I don't know how they got the odds so high in terms of he's a minus 675 because Rojas, I know he's never fought in the UFC before, but he's undefeated as well. He fought in the regional scene in like Chile and Peru. Very good blistering hand and speed power. I mean, he's got really good hands and he can sit you down and knock you out, okay? Very good linear combinations that catch opponents off guard. Doesn't let his opponents establish reigns by any means, okay? For a 125er, got elite one-shot power. 7 of his wins have come by KO or TKO. And his go-to move is kind of, he's going to set up his jab to get you up against the fence so he can start ripping these like vicious leg kicks or these kicks to your body. I mean, that's one of his go-to moves, okay? It's just, that's where his striking really comes alive. Has a tendency to overcommit on hard strikes, so he can definitely be caught. It's something that's definitely going to be exploitable. Don't know if he's going to be durable in that aspect, okay? In terms of the intangibles, little smaller guy. He's about only 5'5" with a shorter reach than Bilal. And like, again, never seen a UFC contender before. Very big step up in competition, especially like a prospect like Bilal Hassan. But as we've seen, odds sometimes don't mean jack shit, right? Okay, Bellamir, a minus 6,000 favorite, lost last night, okay? Who else? Freaking Mitabek Orlabai, a minus, I forget he was even like a minus 900, lost. So, I feel like, don't get me wrong, Bilal Hassan, I feel like is going to get the victory here. I think he's going to knock him out in the first round. But again, Nilson Rojas is live, okay? This guy is not some can that they picked off the side of the street. The guy is undefeated for a reason. So I'm going to say Bilal Hassan, KO in the first round, but still just be on the lookout for the underdog. All right, our next fight is in the light heavyweight division. We have Liu Ce taking on Levi Rodrigues. Liu Ce is a minus 195 favorite, while Levi Rodrigues is a plus 164 dog. All right, Liu Ce is my new favorite prospect in the light heavyweight division. Now, I could be completely wrong going into this, but I watched tape on him, and the dude is a freaking animal, okay? People kind of talk shit about how, his regional promotion is for nothing. There's zero lack of competition, but I'm talking back to his K1 days, okay? We're talking about a guy who captured the K1 Cruiserweight Championship, and then he captured the K1 Openweight Grand Prix Championship. The guy has got some world-class hands, and if you think that Jack Jenkins has got some leg kicks, wait till you see Liu Ce. I mean, the dude is going to throw some vicious calf kicks, okay?
Very good elite Sanda foundation, okay? His ability to systematically disable his opponent's lead leg, that's his go-to move like we talked about. Not to mention, again, kind of does these kicks from awkward angles. It's very, very hard to see coming, okay? He has 100% finishing rate, okay? All three of his career wins have all come by TKO or KO. The dude's got some heavy hands, okay? Ground game and grappling, that is completely unproven. We have not seen him go to the ground at all, so that game is still very, very live. Do I think Levi Rodrigues is the guy to try to show that? Absolutely not. He has been hittable. Liu Ce, he did get a second round knockout against Ivan Grunitsky. That happened just because he's, again, over aggressive. Thought he had him on the ropes, kind of did this wide looping hook, and he got caught, got sat down. None of his fights have ever gone past the second round, so his conditioning still, if it goes past the third round, is a little untested as well. Do I think this is going to the third round? Nope. Levi Rodrigues, 0-1 in the UFC. Guys, if you guys saw him fight Felipe Franco, that's who he just lost to in July. I mean, it was not pretty, okay? Levi Rodrigues had no answer for the takedown. Felipe Franco got full mount and just started raining bombs down and just got him out of there really, really quick, okay? Levi Rodrigues, on the other hand, he's got a terrific 100% finishing rate too, okay? Very good amateur boxing career, very good Muay Thai regional champion. He has hands with the best of them. He just didn't have a chance to show it off against Felipe Franco, excuse me. And again, he's another guy that's going to put his foot on the gas and he's going to come out the gate firing in the first round. He wants to put you out very, very quickly, okay? He's hyper aggressive and he's got 10 first round finishes. Big thing for him, again, grappling. Grappling is the issue. Felipe Franco took him down with ease. I mean, it was like him taking down a small child. He could not get out from full mount to save his life, okay? And then the big statistical thing for me, which stands out for this fight alone, is that he eats more punches than he throws, okay? He gets hit for 4 significant strikes, and he's only landing 2 significant strikes, okay? I mean, that is not the plan you want to go against fighting Liu Ce. And there's a complete lack of plan B. Like we said, this guy, Levi Rodrigues, does not really have a ground game to speak of. So if he can't strike with you, then he's in some real hot water. So I'm going to say, I did this a while ago, but I'm going to say Liu Ce. I'm going to think he's going to get it done. First round KO, if not, early second. I do not see this fight going the whole way. Not a chance. But I'm going to say Liu Ce, TKO win. And our next fight is going to be in the featherweight division. It is going to be a rematch. We have Alex Perez taking on Sumadarji. Perez is your underdog at plus 190 as Sumadarji is your minus 230 favorite. Perez is 8-6-1 in the UFC. Again, just him and Sumadarji had a no contest. Alex Perez, it's very hard to see what version we're going to get of him, okay? And he's 34 now, and we're seeing just a very inconsistent record as of late. It's win, loss, win, then another loss, and then another win, okay? Very hard pattern to predict. Very good collegiate wrestler. West Hills College, very good top control as well. We're talking about a guy who averages around 2 takedowns per 15 minutes, loves that super aggressive pace where he's going to get you up against the cage and try to take you down as much as possible. Good low calf kicks, especially for that division. We saw him use that against Formiga, just leveled him with low calf kicks. Very good high volume pocket boxing. Good combinations. Sits down on his punches pretty well. He lands around 4 significant strikes per minute. Really heavy hooks too. Big thing for Perez though, as of late, very submission vulnerable, okay? 6 out of his 10 career losses have all come by way of submission, especially for a guy that's like a wrestling background. He gets caught quite a bit about that. He's had some weight management and weight cut issues in the past, but hopefully, this is filmed a couple days before the weigh-in, so that's not going to be an issue. Sumadarji, on the other hand, he's 6-4-1 in the UFC. He's never been TKO'd or KO'd. His big thing, again, much like Perez, is submission vulnerability. Matt Schnell and both Tim Elliott got him out of there with submissions. And, not shitting on Matt Schnell, but Matt Schnell is every bit of a journeyman, and he took Sumadarji out with a very solid submission, okay? Sumadarji's got elite counter striking. He's like a sniper in that regard. He uses his lightning fast, laser accurate jabs. He's dropped opponents before. 13 out of his 13 wins via TKO or KO. 10 have come via the first round, so he can definitely strike with the best of them. He lands at a 63% accuracy clip, and he's landing around 4 significant strikes a minute. So he is definitely looking to put you out, okay? But like we talked about before, very big red flag in the defensive grappling game, okay? Not really good at managing cage pressure either. If you can get him up, if you can close out the open space and get him up against the cage and just do a mat return after mat return or body hooks, it definitely takes his game plan away. He does not have a good offensive grappling game either. He averaged less than a takedown per 15 minutes, and then he's takedown defense is 37%. So again, this is a classic grappler versus striker matchup, and it's just going to be to see which version of Alex Perez shows up. I think Sumadarji is going to get it done. I like Sumadarji to get the win via distance on this one. I just think Sumadarji is better in his career at this point. Alex Perez is a little closer to the end zone in terms of finishing his career. Too unreliable in terms of his record as of late. So Sumadarji for the win. And our next fight up is in the women's strawweight division. We have number 4 ranked Yan Xiaonan taking on number 9 ranked Denise Gomez. Yan Xiaonan is your minus 155 favorite, while Denise Gomez is your plus 130 dog. All right, Yan Xiaonan is 9-4 in the UFC. She's coming off a tough TKO loss against Verna Jandiroba that happened in April 2025. My girl Yan Xiaonan has had a long layoff. It's a little bit over a year, okay? So that's red flag number 1 to me. But don't get me wrong, she has elite Sanda movement, very, very good use of her side kicks, okay? She has that bladed stance, so that's very, very hard for opponents to take her down and or kind of connect. Very good, like I said, she used those side kicks to kind of establish her forward pressure, and she's a master of just linear distance control as well. Very good hand speed and volume output. She lands at 4 significant strikes a minute. She possesses exceptional spatial awareness. And again, she continues utilizing her lateral footwork to draw opponents forward into these sharp, angular right-hand counters. Very, very good, fight analytics right there. Exceptional takedown accuracy too. She can take down her opponent at a 73% clip, so she's not a one-trick pony. But again, this is kind of a passing of the guard fight right here. Can Denise Gomez get past the litmus test that is Yan Xiaonan? I mean, Yan Xiaonan's ranked number 4 for a reason. Okay, if you can't beat her, then you have no business trying to fight for the contend for the belt. Gomez, on the other hand, she just beat Pennington in November of 2025. She's riding a very good 4-fight win streak. Love her forward pressure and volume. Much like Yan Xiaonan, Denise Gomez lands 4 significant strikes a minute. Especially with her straight, heavy right hands. She loves throwing those tight combinations to overwhelm opponents. Good fight-ending power, especially for the female strawweight division. 7 career wins by knockout. And she's kind of evolved in her grappling defense, too. As we've seen, she's taken a little bit more of a approach to that, evolving her game in that aspect in terms of, she now sits at a 67% defense rate in terms of takedowns. She can be overly aggressive in blitzing, Sure, once she smells blood in the water, she is trying to knock you out. She is a shark, okay? She is not going to sit there and try to outpoint you. She wants to finish the thing, okay? Definitely has some pacing and some breathing faults as well. She overexerts herself in the first 2 rounds and leaves very little cardio in the later rounds. We kind of did see that. She has, when she fought Tisha Pennington. And she does have some grappling vulnerability. It has improved, but people who are high-level functional grapplers can definitely make her fucking eat her lunch, all right? This is a tough one. I just think for that year layoff for me is a big red flag, and it's just like Xiaonan, she's a kind of older. Is her head really in it anymore? So I'm going to say Denise Gomez. I think Denise Gomez is going to get it done by decision, so Denise Gomez for the win. And in our co-main event, we have the bantamweight division of Arichi Long taking on Kai Asakura. Arichi Long is your plus 360 underdog, while Kai Asakura is your minus 470 favorite. Arichi Long is 3-4-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a tough TKO loss to Cody Haddon that happened in May earlier this year. I mean, his record looks worse than it is actually on paper. I mean, Arichi Long definitely has some knockout power. Out of his 27 wins, he has 9 TKO victories, has a highlight 20-second real knockout of Cody Gibson. I mean, really good, at that point. High ceiling, thought his hands were pretty good for days. I mean, you should get an award if you find a Chinese hometown fighter that does not have some type of foundation and Sanda kickboxing. I mean, Harichi Long is another one, right? Before he transitioned into MMA, great regional Sanda champion, okay? Really good at just, translates into the cage with seamlessly heavy leg and body kicks to put his opponents on the back of the cage, kind of keeps his kicks coming out of nowhere, wants to disrupt his opponent's movement. Very good physical pressure and pace, puts a high velocity of strikes on you, lands around 4 significant strikes a minute, loves putting his opponents into deep water, okay? His big thing, again, though, is he struggles against elite grapplers, okay? His takedown defense is roughly, it's modest at 59%, but if you look at his fight against Raul Rojas Jr., Rojas Jr. ate his lunch, took him down at will, and Harichi Long really did not have an answer for that, okay? Very vulnerable to body strikes as well. His aggressive high guard definitely leaves him open for liver shots that can shut him down pretty well. And his striking defense is not where it needs to be at all, especially when he's fighting a guy like Kaya Sakura. Okay, he holds around a 46% clip, and then he absorbs around 5 significant strikes a minute. So definitely not what you want to be looking for. He's got to tighten that up if he wants to win against Kaya Sakura. Sakura, on the other hand, he's 1-2 in the UFC, coming off of a very good win against Cameron Smotherman, up from the featherweight division to his more natural weight of bantamweight. Very good boxing combinations, and if he wants to finish this fight, he can. You know what I mean? He's got 14 career knockouts, very good heavy left hook, especially to the body, and he's got a devastating right that when he throws it, it's coming right down the pipe, and he's going to sit you down. Okay. Unpredictable strike arsenal as well. One of his things that you got to look out for is he loves those short knees right up the center line to his opponent's body, and he's going to shut you down with that. Okay, especially, I'm not calling my Babe Ruth shot. That's how the fight's going to end, but I guarantee he's going to try to implement that technique in this fight. Especially because Harichi Long leaves his liver open. Okay, has some submission gaps in his pedigree. Don't get me wrong. When he was in featherweight, he lost to Alexander Pentos. Alexander Pentos is one of the best, if not the best, at the flyweight division. Okay, so while he did lose to submission to him, it's Alexander Pentos is awesome. It's nothing. It's not some weak-willed guy. Lost to Tim Elliott via guillotine choke. That was definitely, so I lost money on that one. Thank you very much, Tim Elliott. But again, showed some definitely gaps that he needs to close. I think by now he's 3 fights into the UFC. He's transitioned, he's more familiar with the octagon, let alone when he was fighting in Ryzen with the ring instead of the cage. So he's getting a little bit that. I'm going to call Kaya Sakura to get this one done. I think Kaya Sakura's kind of found his rhythm in the UFC at this point. Good natural body fitted bantamweight division, a little bit better striker. So I'm going to say Kaya Sakura, second round TKO. And we have reached the main event. In the bantamweight division, we have number 2 ranked Umar Nurmagomedov taking on number 6 ranked Song Yadong. Umar Nurmagomedov is your overwhelming favorite at minus 520, while Song Yadong is your plus 390 underdog. Nurmagomedov is 8-1 in the UFC, coming off unanimous decision win against Davison Figueiredo that happened back in January. Nurmagomedov has never been finished. We obviously know that he lost against Merab to the title. We saw some pretty glaring deficiencies in his game plan that day. He had some big cardio dips, especially in the later championship rounds. He was definitely not the most well-conditioned athlete in that fight. But what don't you already know about Umar Nurmagomedov? He comes from the school from Dagestan, that elite level camp with Khabib and everybody. Elite chain wrestling and back takes. Okay, he's averaging 4 takedowns per 15 minutes. If his opponent defends the initial shot, he initially changes it into a single leg or circles, directly to the back to try to get the rear naked choke. The guy wants to put you up against the cage if he can, do mat returns, get his underhooks in, try to get you to the ground that way as well, okay? The thing that I do like about him, though, is not solely just a wrestler. He has that dynamic, high-level kicking game, and he uses his kick more like a jab than anything, okay? It's, he uses it to control distance. He hides his question mark kicks very, very well, too. If you ever see it, he comes over, like the kick comes over his opponent's lead shoulder and just connects. That is one, I did not think that he had that in his toolkit, and he operates it very, very well. Big thing with him is, though, he does stay in boxing range pretty, early and often. If opponents crowd him, he can't get his kicking game off. He can sit in the pocket and get touched up pretty well, okay? And he kind of is over-resilient when he retreats to his hook. And by that, obviously when he retreats, he relies, he hides behind this bladed jab and he's pulling his right hook to escape danger. He wants to try to lull you in with a sharp counter striker, but he does it so much people kind of see it coming. Song Yadong, on the other hand, he's 12-4-1, coming off a really good sub win against Davison Figueiredo, which, if you want to talk MMA math here, I mean, Nurmagomedov couldn't finish Davison Figueiredo, and Song Yadong not only finished him, but finished him pretty early, and that says a lot to me. Song Yadong, elite KO power, especially with his hands, has 9 career wins by knockout. Kind of over-reliant on the boxing, if you ask me. He doesn't really use kicks or knees as early and often as he should. Really just sticks to boxing, okay? But if that's what you're good at, then who am I to talk shit, right? He sits in the pocket. He lets off these fluid, lightning-fast punching sequences. He uses feints really well. He gets his opponents to step inside, then he just reels off these like 2-3 combos that are really nice. But again, it's predictable, right? If I know that you're not going to use your knees or your legs, I know just not to sit. I'm going to try to take you down as early and often as possible. Again, this is going to be a big cardio fight, okay? He's got to defend the takedown, and if he wants to, if the Umar Nurmagomedov can take him into deep water, he's in some real trouble, okay? I'm rooting for the hometown kid, don't get me wrong, but smart money says this is going to be Umar Nurmagomedov all day long. I really think Nurmagomedov's going to just take him down over and over again. It's very hard for Song Yadong to defend. So I'm going to say Umar Nurmagomedov. It's going to go the distance for him to get the W. All right, guys, that's it for today's show. Again, if you like what you're seeing, like what you're hearing, drop your comments in below for your picks. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're here for the picks, stay for the parlays, baby.